everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this week, and this is going to be the astro weather for the week of February 2nd through the 9th, 2025. I hope your guys' weekend is awesome. I'm back at it with another video. We're going to talk all about the transits for the week ahead and track the moon along with all the other aspects that are taking place with a focus on Jupiter going direct in the sign of Gemini. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button below so you're alerted as to when I have new videos. We're always here Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays using tarot and astrology to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. Please make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like this video, leave me a comment and let me know where is Jupiter going direct in your chart. Are you having your Jupiter return? What aspects is Jupiter making? And don't forget to share this video with other astro enthusiasts. Any interaction with the channel really helps the channel grow. And I get a kick out of your guys' comments, so thank you guys for your support. Got a lot going on, obviously, but before we get into it, just a quick few reminders. We do have the February horoscopes that are up. If you guys want to see what's going on the entire month of February, please take a look. I don't know if I'm going to do a February overview this month. We've got so much stuff going on this week, and I wanted to talk about Jupiter today. So if you guys want kind of like a fuller picture, make sure you check out those horoscopes on the channel. I'm also running a special for the month of February for anyone who is going to be placing an order for a synastry reading. I'm booking into May right now, but if you book a relationship reading, I am offering a 15% discount. You can find that on my website along with my courses and all of my products, including my calendars at beyondtheveiltarot.com. While you're there, please sign up for my newsletter. We've got like over 1,700 people right now, so it's like awesome to see how many people are subscribed to that. Promise I won't spam you, but it's important that you guys sign up for this newsletter because I am spending the next week or two working on all kinds of webinars. So I've got stuff that's going to be coming out on the Venus retrograde, lots of goodies with in-depth insight on how that's going to be impacting the 12 signs with remedies and all kinds of recommendations. That's going to be a private webinar that I'm going to have for sale. Also, the 2025 spring eclipses, I almost said horoscopes, the spring eclipse webinar as well. As you guys know, we've got eclipse season coming up in about a month, having a lunar eclipse in Virgo and another solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. This week, we got a lot going on. So if you guys haven't already seen the Astro Bites, you guys should check them out. We started putting those out where we're kind of doing condensed clips to let you guys know what's kind of going on with the details for all of my videos. But basically, man, this weekend has been dreamy, huh? How did you guys like that Saturday super stellium in Pisces, all those planets in conjunction? We had a dreamy weekend, basically. Some of you guys are still kind of feeling the vibes of those Pisces conjunctions, but now we're coming back down to earth. We're going to be kind of grounding our energy out at the beginning of the week. So some of you guys are still kind of floaty. That's fine. You can enjoy that on Sunday, but we have a very productive, very beneficial Monday. So I want you guys to know if you've got to sign contracts, if you have to have meetings, if you're trying to book travel, Monday is your day. We're going to have lots of beautiful aspects kind of taking place between Mercury and Jupiter. And it's great for communications, learning as well. If you have to kind of sign up for a course or if you're trying to get some studying in, highly recommend doing all of your communications on Monday. Now, we will be seeing Jupiter turn direct. That's the big news. And this is the last time that we are going to see this in the sign of Gemini before we see Jupiter move on into its exaltation in Cancer over the summer. So this is good news really for everyone in the Gemini area of your chart, but particularly for my Gemini, my Sag, and my Pisces risings, especially my Sag and my Pisces, because you guys have your chart ruler that's now direct moving forward. So this is going to allow us to have more optimism. We're going to be able to kind of communicate more freely. We're going to be, I think, a little bit more open to learning new things, talking about new subjects. And it's great for planning travel and road trips as well. Now, we are going to see this week, Venus is going to make her fiery entrance into the sign of Aries. And guys, things are going to get spicy. Venus will actually be in Aries for the next month before she turns retrograde at the beginning of March. So extra sweet actually for Aries placements. If you have anything 0 to like about 12 degrees, you're going to benefit from this transit the most. But this is a very interesting Venus pre-shadow. It's giving me feelings of some of the stuff that's kind of happened in the past. I believe the last time we saw similar kind of aspects was in 2017. And yeah, I talk about this a lot in my webinar when I put it out for you guys, but essentially Venus moving into an air sign means she's going to be a little bit more action-packed. She's very brave and daring when it comes to finances and romance. And it's going to be interesting to see her hover around these early degrees of Aries all month long. Now, Neptune makes his official conjunction to the North Node in Pisces this week. We've been feeling it since the end of January, and now it is finally here. And this is, on one hand, very spiritual. It's really great for kind of tapping into our higher selves, a higher belief system, spiritual practice, meditation, study, all that stuff. But it can also be hopelessly and gloriously confusing, right? There can be this sense of feeling like you're swimming in the cosmic soup with this conjunction. For some of you guys, it's going to be very dreamy and inspirational and great for creative projects, particularly, you know, video and film or anything regarding photography, dance, music, poetry. But I think for all of us, we're going to be like, the world seems a little crazy. So be mindful this is going to be taking place this week. And you'll feel that for a couple of days. And really, when we have conjunctions to the North Node, we're being asked to kind of leap into the future. And obviously, Neptune is not exactly showing us what the future has in store, but this is happening in degrees that are very specific, very, very, very connected to the eclipse cycles, very connected to the Venus and the Mercury retrograde cycles that are coming in March. So February, for me, almost feels like the end of the year. Like there is something that we are kind of like taking time to rest and kind of reflect on and think about a little bit more. Maybe we feel like we're searching for something, or we're questioning when something or someone is going to come through. And we'll see that kind of play out in the next couple of months. A very insightful Mercury cazimi in Aquarius. This is going to be taking place later in the week. The Sun-Mercury conjunction, this is the superior conjunction. So some epiphany, some realization, some download, some insight is likely going to be coming right around this day. And on one hand, this is super positive because it can mean that, you know, we're able to kind of channel something and have the most amazing kind of meeting and meet up, particularly with community, with friends, with other people socially. But just after the cazimi, we start seeing Mercury and the Sun coming into a square with Uranus. So it almost looks like we kind of get that heads up that's like, hey, something's about to shift, something's about to change. And as we know, Uranus is now direct in Taurus, so those changes are physical. It deals with our resources, our self-esteem, our relationship to material goods, our food, and our planet. So watch for those curveballs. And then while we wrap up the week with what's going to be a very emotional Sunday. So pull out your red markers, circle Sunday. That's going to be a day where you're going to want to watch your tempers. We're going to see the moon come into conjunction with Mars retrograde in Cancer. And it's going to make a trine, both the moon and Mars, to Saturn. And I think that this is positive because it's going to stabilize some stuff for us. But I also know that this is a day of practicing reflection and emotional restraint. So we're not making any moves, literally, that we might potentially regret. So tempers can flare, but if you can find a nice outlet physically or in terms of some kind of action to neutralize some of the feisty effects of the Moon-Mars conjunction, hey, all might be okay. So let's talk a little bit about Jupiter going direct in Gemini. Obviously, this is the hot topic for me this week. There are other things going on, so just a heads up, on Tuesday and Thursday, you guys are going to be getting a Venus and Aries video. You're going to get a Mercury cazimi video. Those need their own video. It's too much to do that in a weekly, so those will be touched on this week. Jupiter direct. So like I said, it's going to affect my Geminis, my Sages, and my Pisces placements the most. And those of you guys who have any personal planets between 10 and 12 degrees of Gemini, well, Jupiter's gonna go direct right on top of some of your personal planets or angles, which can be particularly fortuitous for you. Now, the significance of Jupiter going direct, I mean, we know that Jupiter is all about expansion. It's about growth, wisdom, good fortune, and it going direct signifies a turning point where now these energies can kind of flow more freely. It's no longer internal, it's now external, and we can kind of work with this energy in a much more beneficial way. So watch for opportunities for expansion and growth in the Gemini area of your chart. And if you don't know where that is, check out your chart, Find which house it is. Stay tuned to the end. I'm going to tell you for each and every one of the 12 rising signs where this is taking place. But essentially, when Jupiter was retrograde, which it has been for several months, it's been more introspective. And maybe we've seen delays with being able to move forward in that area of our life. And now this direct motion allows the outward growth to kind of happen. And plans can be enacted much more efficiently. Watch for opportunities, because often we see that there's an increase in opportunities for Jupiter topics like learning, travel, or broadening your horizons, your belief systems. Particularly in the mercurial sign of Gemini, this can be wonderful for communications, for tech, everything revolving also around travel, particularly road trips, or if you're wanting to grow an online platform, a website, growing your social media, right? This could all be really beneficial with Jupiter in Gemini. And watch for the optimism to return. So generally there's a much more positive outlook when Jupiter is direct. And also this is encouraging us to kind of like take some risks and have faith in the future, right? Because we're moving forward. And there is this desire for exploration, either literally or in a sense of learning, reading, absorbing information. We're going to want to kind of dive deep into some of that more cerebral stuff. Now, obviously, Jupiter in Gemini, it's in a sign that's in opposition to its ruler, Sagittarius. So we can notice that we can be a little bit more spread thin. We're juggling things a little bit more. There can also be a sense of feeling like our attention span is not all there. So be mindful of that. Watch for opportunities to improve in communication and learning. I think that what I like about Jupiter in Gemini is that it's very much about intellect. It's very versatile. Jupiter, obviously amplifies curiosity in this sign. So we're going to see a surge in reading, writing, teaching, and speaking. It's also known for its duality because it's a double-bodied sign. And, it's a flexible sign because it's mutable. So Gemini's dual nature might bring about multiple opportunities or paths to explore, enhancing your adaptability and your flexibility in that area of your chart. This is going to bring up opportunities for social interaction as well, as Gemini is an air sign. So we'll see much more of an emphasis on networking, socializing, and connecting with others on a broader level due to Gemini's kind of social nature. Now, collectively, what I think this is going to do is it's going to show some improvement when it comes to cultural exchange. So we might see increased interest in different cultures, philosophies, and ideas. There might be a boom on, educational content in particular, especially through media like podcasts, blogs, and any social media. This will also likely lead to technological advancement. So Gemini's association with technology could mean that there could be advancement taking place and innovations in communication or information connecting to technology. It also gives more fluidity to, thought. I think like the collective might experience a shift towards being more open-minded or a reevaluation of established beliefs due to Jupiter's kind of philosophical influence combined with Gemini's inquisitive nature. But personally for you, I think this is going to bring intellectual growth. So you might be more inclined towards education or self-improvement, seeking to expand, your knowledge base. I mean, all the self-help and the wellness and the positivity and the optimism type podcasts, motivational speakers. I think this is a really wonderful thing to be listening to, particularly when you're walking, when you're driving, or when you're kind of out and about. You can kind of get some of this bite-sized goodness whenever you're kind of running around. I think this can also increase, career communication. I think that those who are in, the fields relating to communication, media, and education might see significant opportunities for growth. So it can be more beneficial for you guys. And it's going to promote more of a social life for a lot of people. Granted, we are going to see some planets over the next month going into Pisces squaring Jupiter, which is going to kind of show the extreme separation between those who want to get out and about, socialize, hang out with their neighbors, start traveling more, and those who are like still wanting to kind of hide away. They're not really ready to kind of come out of their cocoon. And it's going to show a little bit of like clash in regards to these two types of individuals in society. I do think that there is a lot of potential here for absorbing more information, but like I said, there's a risk of information overload, taking on too much, or multitasking. So some of us might feel a little scattered if our thinking and our schedules are not properly managed. And obviously travel and exploration is a huge theme with Jupiter. And I think that there's going to be a desire for a lot more short distance trips or local exploration of like your local neighborhood or maybe a different side of town rather than long journeys, because Gemini connects to the immediate surroundings. So some of us are probably going to be hanging out more with our neighbors, our close friends. We're going to be kind of exploring new areas that interest us. The challenge here, I think, with Jupiter direct and Jupiter obviously in a sign that it doesn't perform well in, is that we can see that there can be over optimism or there could be overachievement. Now, I think that over the last year with the 2 Saturn Jupiter squares that we've seen, Saturn has kind of kept Jupiter in check. It's been, okay, you know, kind of get your act together. And as we saw the 2 squares happen over the summer in 2024, Saturn was retrograde, Jupiter was direct. And then in the fall, we saw Jupiter retrograde and Saturn was direct. So they both kind of had their like little opportunity to kind of pull ahead. Still one more Jupiter-Saturn square. We'll see that in June. But I think that for right now, just be mindful of overdoing things, especially in Gemini where there's a tendency to start a bunch of stuff or take on too many things or have too many irons in the fire. And we may not finish everything that we're setting out to do. And also we can see some issues, you know, with being a little superficial. I think like the depth of Jupiter's wisdom is sometimes diluted by Gemini's tendency towards, you know, kind of focusing on broader topics rather than depth. So it can lead to superficial understandings or connections. So we want to watch for that. Just sideline note also, Jupiter is directly connected to the North Node. So if you view Jupiter as the traditional ruler of Pisces, Jupiter going direct is only going to enhance all of this Pisces stuff that we're going to be seeing in the skies. So while, you know, Saturn, Neptune, North Node, and Venus are all in conjunction, Jupiter going direct is going to highlight that. It's going to make that bigger. And then as we see other planets go through there, Jupiter is going to be reflecting some of that energy. And that's where I say things get kind of wonky in Pisces season, because you're going to see those squares between the two. Intuitively, I have felt like the North Node Saturn Pisces is keep praying, keep meditating, keep connecting to your higher self, keep taking time to kind of ground out, have some alone time, especially if you want to do some reading, some learning, some writing, you know, some journaling. And this is very think, process, sleep on it before you speak. Make sure that your intuition, your gut, you know, what you're kind of visualizing, what you're dreaming about, you know, is coming full circle and it's coming together before you start talking about things. So it's very like don't count your chickens before they hatch type of vibes. And we'll see that throughout the retrogrades happening as well. But certainly I think with the North Node going direct, with Jupiter going direct, it's reflecting positive things for what's going to be coming through the Pisces area of our chart. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then this week we're going to see actually Jupiter and Mercury trine, which, like I said, is great for communications, meeting, travel, but we're going to see the North Node ruler Jupiter and the South Node ruler Mercury in harmonious aspect to one another. Okay, so that means that we've got the past and the future working simultaneously together, and it means that we need to communicate, we need to learn, we need to also be optimistic, we need to be taking action and also being flexible and connecting with networks, communities, friends, other people, because these are very social signs. Now, as for Jupiter transits that you're going to want to watch, other than Jupiter going direct this week, a couple other transits that kind of came up for me is during the March 27th through April 12th period, we will have Mercury retrograde. We will also have Venus retrograde. So while these two planets are retrograde, Jupiter is going to be direct, and it's going to be in primary, I think, rulership and connection to everything that's getting rearranged and reworked in the Pisces area of the chart. Honestly, this means that even if things get heavy emotional, if there's a lot changing for the collective, if there's a lot changing for us emotionally, psychologically, we still need to be active. We need to be getting out there and walking, biking. We need to be communicating with our local communities. We need to be getting to know our neighbors. We need to be having a regular journaling, reading, you know, kind of routine. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be seeking spiritual or religious wisdom in text, podcasts, videos. We're going to see a lot of people that are going to be consuming a lot of this stuff. And it can be really beneficial as we kind of go through some of those squares. But that's going to be pretty prominent because Jupiter as the dispositor, it's bringing good things, right? But through the lens of Gemini. So it's like, okay, you're confused, you're lost, you're sad, you know, you don't know which end is up. Let's talk about it. Let's come up with a plan. Let's figure out how we can kind of get to the bottom of why we're feeling this way. And I think it's going to be really beneficial to kind of get out some of those emotions that may have potentially felt trapped. And then secondly, we are going to see in May, Jupiter will square the node. So this is going to be around May 18th. When Jupiter comes into a square with the north and the south node, and it's the ruler of the north node, you know, it's basically saying, hey, we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to get out, communicate, learn. A lot of it's also going to be about learning languages, or it's going to be about new options when it comes to global trade, new options also when it comes to, I think, education. There's going to be a huge emphasis on new forms of education and new media platforms that are coming through. That's going to be education based as well, helping us kind of connect to the world in general as Pisces deals with like the collective. So Jupiter squared the nodes. You know, any planet square the nodes is saying it's time for us to evolve. And so we're going to have to look at it through the lens of Jupiter, which is going to be, let's be optimistic. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know, not too optimistic, but let's be optimistic that we can create change. We can see the other side of a conversation or a belief system, and that can open the door to being able to learn something new. We will see on June 8th and 9th of 2025, these are like the final moments of, I think, some significant Jupiter transits. We will see on the 8th, Jupiter will conjunct Mercury at 29 degrees of Gemini. So that's going to be interesting to see that happen, because 29 degrees is a critical degree. Obviously, Mercury conjunct Jupiter can be good news. It can also be good news revolving around global business, global trade, and 29 degrees is an anaretic degree. So it's going to represent a significant tipping point when it comes to things like the auto industry, media, right? Major media networks, themes also revolving around freedom and speech. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of manifests. And then on the 9th, we're going to see Jupiter enter into the sign of Cancer, where it will be for the rest of 2025. Cannot wait. It's going to be in its exaltation. Yes, we're going to see some bumps and bruises, a quick square mid-June to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. But after that, the Jupiter in Cancer transit is actually quite wonderful. Throughout the summer into the fall, we'll see trines to the North Node in Pisces, really expanding our home lives, our private life, our emotions, families, as well as connections to our roots, our ancestors, our heritage. So it's going to kind of start a whole new trend of themes that are going to be happening globally, which I'll be talking about as we get into the spring. But just know that, yeah, there's one more Saturn square Jupiter. So that's going to represent that final turning point where we've been in some tense kind of angles with Saturn that's been kind of holding Jupiter back a little bit. This time in cardinal signs, early degrees of the cardinal signs, it means that if you want growth emotionally and on the home front with your family, with where you're living, if you want more abundance, you have to get real with yourself. Saturn and Neptune in Aries says, you have to come up with the dream. You have to build it. You have to initiate that, even if it's something you've never done before. So this is going to be trailblazing energy for a lot of people. I think a lot of people who are going to be picking up, moving to places, going places they've never been before, becoming more independent, self-sufficient, things like working for yourself, working from home, even topics revolving around home building and, you know, being able to relocate to states and cities and even countries that you've never imagined yourself living in. So we're going to see a large rearrangement, I think, of population and immigration. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the week ahead. We're going to be starting with Sunday the 2nd. So happy Sunday to my Sunday crew. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm filming this before the weekend, so I don't know what has happened. I just know that the last 2 days, the moon has been in conjunction with Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, and Venus. So I could imagine like everybody, there are some people that are just like drinking a bottle of wine in their pool float. And other people who are still recovering maybe from the weekend's festivities, or maybe you're having a movie marathon, spending time by the beach, taking lots of photos, painting, lots of good music and stuff like that. But when we wake up on Sunday, oh my goodness, completely different vibe. We've still got the conjunctions going on in Pisces, but the moon is now in Aries. So this is kind of get up and go energy. When the moon's in Aries, we're looking at Mars. Obviously, Mars is still retrograde. It's going to be like this for a couple more weeks. And Mars is coming back into a square with Chiron in Aries. Don't underestimate this. This has been where we've been reworking our past emotions, our home, our family, things revolving around parenting, stuff kind of connected to our emotional hangups, maybe even with family, and where we've been seeing some personal wounds or rejection that's been coming up. So you'll kind of see actually into tomorrow, as the moon is coming into conjunction with Chiron, and the moon's the dispositor of Mars, and Mars is the dispositor of the moon. We got mutual reception, and they're in a square. Ouch. There can definitely be some home, domestic, family drama Sunday night going into Monday. We will see something else that's happening is that Venus is still in conjunction to the North Node. So, you know, Saturday, like Friday, Saturday, with Venus conjunct the North Node, some people have had fated encounters in meetings, some really significant turning points with financial situations, romantic relationships, themes revolving also around resources, as Venus is connected to Taurus, where Uranus is. For some of us, it might feel like we're in a fantasy land. You know, I would imagine there's a lot of like watching romance movies and, you know, indulging in music and just activities that are all about the senses and all about pleasure. So having that triple conjunction hanging on still, you know, Sunday morning, for some of you guys, it can still be sweet, but the moon generally wants to get active, and it gets a little feisty when it's in Aries. We will see the sextiles between the moon and planets in Aquarius, which is great for taking the initiative, getting out, hanging out with friends, going to parties, doing things. And the moon's also going to be in a sextile to Jupiter. So if you're feeling like you're ready to kind of get out of the fishbowl after Friday and Saturday's Pisces party, Sunday can definitely be a day where you can get out and you can get some stuff done. We will see as the day goes on, the moon is going to inch closer and closer to that conjunction with Chiron. It looks like it'll pick up a sextile to the sun in the evening hours. So it's still great for, you know, socializing and interacting with people. But overnight, the moon is going to keep moving, and early morning on Monday the 3rd, before most of us are even awake. Okay, I'm Central Time, so it's like 3 a.m. my time. So we're looking at 1 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. We're looking at 4 a.m. on the East Coast. We're going to see the moon coming into conjunction with Chiron, which is like, ouch, emotional wounds. And it will form a square to Mars. So when we wake up in the morning, it's possible that there's some intense things kind of going on in the world, news headlines, you know, some kind of conflict, some kind of issue, and it's at a 19, okay? So this is about relationships that individuals are having with their homeland, with their home country, homeland security, defense-related things. I think you're gonna hear that's gonna be kind of coming up. But if you're waking up a little bit later in the morning, 6, 7, 8 in the morning, the moon is separating from that conjunction with Chiron. It's separating from the square with Mars. Maybe you narrowly escape some of the conflict that can be happening, but you will still probably see it going on in the world. Now, what's positive that you're going to have happening pretty much all day on Monday is you're going to see Mercury coming into a trine with Jupiter. And Mercury is the dispositor of Jupiter because it rules Gemini. So whenever we see Mercury, the businessman, anything revolving around communication, networks, contracts, traveling, business, trining Jupiter, especially when Mercury is the dispositor, this is a good thing. It's basically saying, look, we can make something happen. We can plan stuff for later in the week. We can plan travel. We can plan parties, get-togethers. We can have awesome meetings. I really, really like the fact that we're picking up the energy of a sextile from the moon to this Aquarius energy. So we have to take the initiative. We have to have personal will and drive to get something done, to incentivize others or to work well with others. And we have to speak up. And if you can do that on Monday, great communication day. This is the day that I would plan the rest of the week, or if you have to sign something or send out a newsletter or anything like that, do it on Monday. Okay, so as we keep going, we're going to see the moon change signs. It is going to come into the sign of Taurus later in the evening, okay? So much later at night, we see that moon ingress. And when the moon ingresses, it's immediately coming into a square with Pluto in Aquarius. So this is about an emotional shift. We're responding to changes in power. We're responding to changes in goals, changes in friends, stuff kind of going on in the world. Pluto is a power player, so we kind of see some emotional threats that can kind of come up during this time. And while the moon is in Taurus, we're looking at Venus. So it's interesting to see like the moon in a hard angle to Pluto, which represents some kind of emotional turmoil for some people, especially pertaining to finances, resources, self-esteem. And we see Venus at a critical degree. Now, overnight, we will see the square to Pluto. And then we're waking up on the 4th, which is Tuesday. And as we're waking up on Tuesday, things can feel a little jumbled, okay? Primarily because that moon is going to start coming into friction with the sun and Mercury. Secondly, you know, now we're looking at Venus in a new sign. So Venus is now in spicy, feisty, entrepreneurial, independent, you know, kind of sometimes combative, sign of Aries. Those of you guys who I think are going to benefit the most from this, obviously, are going to be Aries placements, particularly the first like 10 or 11 degrees. Obviously, Taurus and Libra risings, be mindful your chart ruler is on the move. So this is going to be more significant for you guys. But Aries, I think you guys are going to do pretty well with this until the retrograde next month. We also are going to be seeing that Jupiter is now direct. So Venus changes signs, Jupiter goes direct all the early morning hours on February the 4th. So this is where you're going to start seeing some kind of growth and improvement that we're going to be moving towards between now and June in the Gemini area of your chart. We are still feeding off of that Mercury trine, which is saying, hey, we can make things happen. Let's talk about it. Let's bring in people to help us kind of fulfill some of these goals, focusing on friendships and connections with other people and allies. And then we've got Venus that is now in Aries. So I'm curious to see what happens. You know, Venus is in shadow. She's going to turn retrograde around, I think, about 9 or 10 degrees of Aries at the beginning of March. So, you know, what can I say? You know, Venus is the first planet to enter into Aries. I'm not really looking at the luminaries. I'm looking more at what's going on with Venus, Mercury, that kind of stuff. Well, this is the same degree where we're going to see her retrograde through, and Aries 0 degrees is the first degree of the zodiac. So it does represent basically a brand new start. It's a birth, right? It's like taking your first breath. 0 degrees, cardinal points are the world axis points. So we see some pretty significant world events usually happen when planets cross these degrees or retrograde over them. This is also the same degree in which Saturn and Neptune are going to be moving through later this year. And Mercury and Venus will retrograde through there. So it's kind of like, it's a brand new beginning, right? This is where we have, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, the spring equinox. So it's the real astrological new year. I was thinking about this last night and I was like, you know what? Like Venus is like a flower and she opens up to things. And so there can be some challenges, some conflict, there can be some friction, but there can also be this sense of, I gotta have that. I wanna go after that. I want to achieve that. I'd like to possess that, whether it's a relationship, a financial situation, an item, a job, whatever. And she's opening up to this first before we see the retrograde, before we see Mercury retrograde over it, where we make sure that's what we want. And then before we see Saturn and Neptune hit this degree as well, where we have to make that our reality. So something I would remind you guys is like on the 4th, what are you opening up to? What is it that you would love to do differently? You know, how can you learn to love something even though it's challenging or it's difficult? Aries is a sign that deals with physical fitness. It's about combat. It's about action. So it might feel good maybe to lean into for the next month, learning to love and appreciate how something is, even if it's difficult, even if it's challenging, even if it, you know, it hurts, or not in a physical way, but like I think of like working out, you know, you go for like a long run or you're working out and you're like, oh, I'm sore, but it was good for me, right? That's the kind of vibe that I get with Venus and Aries. So that's going to be giving you some signals as to what you're working on all month in preparation for some of these other transits that are going to be coming down the line. So Jupiter's direct, Venus is in Aries, totally different energy, lots of fire and air now. We've also got in the late PM hours, we will see that moon in Taurus come into a square with Mercury and the sun. So not much is kind of happening quite yet. Maybe when Mercury starts coming into a square with the moon. So that looks like it's going to be in the PM hours. So like right around dinner time, the moon in Taurus, which wants stability, security, it wants pleasure, it wants to focus on its resources. and it's emotions. The moon is the emotions, and this is exalted. It's squaring Mercury. So there's some conflict or friction revolving around what feels good, what feels safe, what is reliable versus, like what is, quickly progressing, changing, what news or information is coming out. I think this is going to be like how tech news is impacting the markets. I think this is going to be how something that's going on with politics is impacting the markets. Huge, conversations and debates revolving around changes in regards to financial systems or, things, dealing with rates or prices. That could be kind of impacting with that square. So yeah, kind of like the heart and the mind aren't really in alignment. So, February 4th, Tuesday at night, little difficult for communication, especially socializing and connecting with other people and having similar values. You're going to see some difference of opinions. Then right after that, as the night gets a little bit later, we're going to see the first quarter square. So this is when the moon and the sun square each other, very early actually going into the 5th. So this is actually Wednesday morning. Most of you guys will be asleep for this, but this does represent the turning point since that new moon in Aquarius, right? That one was super sweet, trine Jupiter. Now it's saying, okay, if you really want to focus on the future, if you really want to have this goal fulfilled, you're going to have to make change, physical change, financial change, change in what you're consuming, what you're buying, what you're eating, changes with your self-esteem, changes physically. So this can be some volatility that's kind of brewing going into Wednesday, especially with like the financial and the crypto market. So be mindful of that. All right, so we're going to continue to watch the moon go through Taurus into Wednesday. And what we're going to see is in the later morning going into the afternoon, the moon is going to start coming into a sextile with Saturn and Neptune. So if we can be reserved, focusing on our intuition, our gut feelings, things revolving around, sometimes even letting things go and focusing on grounding, that's going to really benefit us. When the moon's in Taurus, generally we're more focused on what's going on with our resources. What am I needing to buy? What do I want to eat? What's going to feel comfortable? It does not want to change. And the moon's going to get shaken up a little bit as it comes into conjunction with Uranus, which represents some kind of volatility, some kind of unexpected changes, some kind of dynamic situation happening in the early PM hours. And it's going to meet at 23. And Uranus is now direct, guys. Okay, so with Uranus direct and the moon hitting Uranus, there can be some ingenious intuitions. There can be a sense of finding ways to kind of free yourself up financially or making some changes in your spending habits. But this is building off of Venus in Aries, okay? And Venus is in her opposite sign. So she's moving through a sign that's a bit debilitated because she's going through a Mars-based sign. So some of the shakeup can be partially Venus in a sign she's not comfortable in. We say basically planets go and visit houses, right? And the house which she's visiting is the area where she's bringing all of the flowers and the treats and all that stuff. But she's not really super feminine. She's not really super sensitive. She's more taking action, taking charge, fighting for what she loves, also embracing opportunities for something new in love and money. So, she's not totally happy here. So some of the shakeup can be as a result of Venus going into Aries. And it's like, whoa, okay, we're seeing some market volatility, some changes with my spending habits, some changes with my resources. So watch for that. Outside of that, we're not really going to see much. Obviously, while the moon is in Taurus, it will be sextiling the Pisces placement. So it does pay to be grounded, to not take everything at surface value, to know that there are still some things that are not too clear. And we also see the moon that will be sextiling Mars. So it's like if we make these changes, we're making those necessary changes to better make shifts in the domestic zone or when it comes to our home or our living situation. All right, so this is now going to take us into the 6th. Not much else is going to happen other than the conjunction over the afternoon. And then by the evening hours, the moon will be sextiling Neptune in the North Node. Okay. All right, so when we wake up then on the 6th, the moon will be in Gemini. And right off the bat, really early morning when the moon goes into Gemini on the 6th, it's trining Pluto. So it's setting up for, all right, there's been some changes, there's been some shifts emotionally and in terms of, the energies in the sky. we're now focusing on change and the future. And now Pluto is at a 2, so that's a degree that definitely deals with money, resources, banking, that kind of stuff. Positive is that at least as the moon is going through Gemini, we're focusing on Mercury. And right now, Mercury is under the beams of the sun. So it's getting ready to have its Mercury Cazimi. So when we have the Cazimi a couple days later, there is going to be some, new information, an epiphany, a realization. Like I said, the downloads. But right now, it's like mine's on fire, right? And so when we see Mercury so close to the sun, the positive effects, I think, of communication, travel, business, all that stuff, it's kind of diminished. So we can feel like there's just too much news going on Thursday. There's too much information going on, too many people talking about stuff. The internet is going to be ablaze with all kinds of, I would assume, new conspiracies, especially revolving around tech, business. And Mercury is directly connected to the South Node in Virgo. So it can be about this news revolving around changes with jobs, layoffs, changes revolving also around the internet, stuff that's news revolving around tech. That kind of stuff is going to be kind of coming out on Thursday. We will see in the PM hours on Thursday, it's going to be a little better because we're going to see the moon start coming into conjunction with Jupiter, which makes us very chatty, great for getting out and about, being active, running errands, contracts, communications. And it's going to start kind of trying to come into a trine with Mercury and the sun. So, on the 6th in the evening, also a great time for having conversations, booking travel, focusing on learning, connecting with people. If you have people that you need to catch up with, call back, plans that need to be made. If you're not doing it Monday, Thursday night is an acceptable day, but you're going to want to do it Thursday night because you're going to start to lose some of these positive effects when we get to Friday. So this will take us now into Friday. And this will be the 7th. And when we get into the 7th, we're going to see the moon that is early in the morning going to hit a snag and it's going to square Saturn. So this means that there is some emotional challenges or some emotional breakdown or issues revolving around sharing our feelings, communicating, expressing our feelings in the sign of Gemini. But at the same time, the moon is trining Mercury. It is also trining the sun. I have a feeling that the 7th is going to be a day where a lot of people are taking to their social media, their internet, and they're going to be basically sharing with other people, something they've learned. And that could be about overcoming obstacles, challenges. That could be about, breakthroughs in terms of ideas that they've had and they're wanting to teach other people. And that's really the way out of it. If you don't want to get stuck into the moon square Saturn, then you need to lean into the conjunction of Jupiter, which means write about it, talk about it, teach about it, learn, and share with other people or connect with networks or call a friend and get some feedback or get some support. Otherwise, we're going to feel a little bit emotionally stifled. Now, the moon will also be sextiling Chiron. So this is great for being able to tap into where we've been wounded, take accountability for our role in the matter, be able to write, communicate, and share. So journaling exercises can be really helpful, and it can really help with healing on the 7th. We will also see the moon come into a trine with the sun. So not only is it trining Mercury, where if we're able to be more optimistic and share and communicate, we can make friends, we can network, we can meet new people. But when the sun and the moon are in a trine, especially at a 19, it's really great for relationship dynamics and harmony. So it could be about finding the best client, the perfect business partner, the perfect person for the job. It can be great for being able to meet people and relating and partnering with people as well. At the same time, on the 7th, we also see Venus that's now in a sextile to Pluto. So if we're kind of willing to make the necessary upgrades, evolution, and change, we can embrace new identities. We can embrace also new trends when it comes to beauty and financial related things. And it can actually add a lot of depth when it comes to relationships. But Venus in Aries, it wants something daring. It wants something exciting. It doesn't want something that's boring. It wants something brand new. So you're going to see a lot of people possibly talking about new investments, new opportunities, especially kind of connecting to what? Uranus and Taurus, cryptocurrencies, things revolving also around, I think, innovations in food and technology, innovations in farming, and money revolving around technology, because this is, Uranus deals with technology, but it's also going to be making some aspects pretty soon to Gemini. On the 7th, final thing, we're going to see Neptune conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So this will be happening at 28 degrees and change. So this would round up to the 29th degree, the Sabian symbol, light shining through a prism, right? Seeing things from different perspectives and learning how to bring them together and see them as one. So on one hand, you know, the late degrees of Pisces is like the great, you know, the great dissolve before we kind of cycle through and we're born again in Aries. So you guys are going to start to feel the effects of this dissolving in the Pisces area of your life, or letting something go, or there can be some sense of confusion, or recognizing that you don't have the energy or the wherewithal to keep it going, right? And then Saturn will come in and it will start conjuncting this in just a few short weeks as well, which is saying sometimes it is necessary to have that ending before we have the beginning. So there's some significant rearranging, ending, completion that's going to be happening in the Pisces area of our charts to make way for the new beginning that's coming in Aries. So you're going to have to look at not just where, oh, Venus, Saturn, Neptune is going in Aries. No, 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 no. You've had preparation the last 18 months with the North Node there and the eclipses. What you're really wanting to look at is Pisces, because something's got to complete there to have that new beginning. So they're very much intertwined, and you're going to start to kind of see that kind of coming together this week. Just watch for the confusion. You know, North Node Neptune is like scams and things that can be falsified. It can be very heavy emotionally. It can also represent this shift revolving around not trying to glob onto something and hold on to something, being like, you know what, I really have to let this go. And when Saturn shows up, it's going to be like a karmic lesson of like releasing something. And also I think a lot of this is going to be about transparency and getting more clarity revolving around what has happened in this area, what didn't work, what was falsified, what was not really in alignment for me, and like clearing that out so you can really give some of these transits in Aries a fair shot. You can do something completely new, by the way. So we'll kind of be working with that Pisces energy on and off all year, but it's heating up now. This is now going to take us to later in the day on the 7th. So that is Friday. So that moon is going to come into a sextile with Chiron in the afternoon. Then we are going to see the moon continue to keep moving through Gemini. And it looks like in the PM hours, the late PM hours, early morning on Saturday, the moon will square the north and the south node, fateful or fated events, I guess we could say, very early morning on Saturday. And then when we're waking up, the moon will have ingressed into the sign of Cancer. So the moon's back at home Saturday morning. So what does it mean? Well, it means that, you know, our minds, our actions, our emotions are more going to be focused on the home front. Our home country, our family, you know, what we're making for dinner, what we're doing, who's going picking up kids, you know, what the plan is to see family, all of that stuff. And this is where the energy starts to heat up into Sunday. So moon in Cancer is not necessarily a bad transit. I think that off the bat, this moon in Cancer square Venus in Aries is kind of colorful. You know, I think that this is really kind of saying that emotionally we just kind of like want to like hunker down and we want to focus on what's comfortable or what's secure or even the past. And past things are coming up that's pushing us to be brave or do things differently or take risks, especially when it comes to relationships. It can also be about being a little bit bold and where maybe our heart and our emotions, you know, two different things going on. Some of us want something new and exciting, but we're kind of afraid maybe to like move into the future. So you feel a little bit of friction in the early mornings on Saturdays. But for those of you guys who are like, I'm not even up until 8 or 9 o'clock, you're pretty much just going to pretty much miss it. So it's going to be kind of coming out of this square right around midday. Also on the 8th, we're going to be seeing that there is going to be some trines that are going to be happening between Mars and Saturn, which is setting up. So on Saturday, Mars is already at an 18, Saturn is at an 18 and change. So you're going to start to feel the effects pretty much Saturday, Sunday, Monday of this Mars trine Saturn. Well, Mars is motivation, action, drive, it's go. But it's retrograde, so it means we're more internally reflecting on the past, where we've lived, how we felt, what's happened with our home, our family dynamics, and we're reworking that area of our chart right now, and we're doing that in unison with Saturn. So Saturn is saying, actually, You know, let's go through the closets we haven't looked at. What's in the, you know, what's in those drawers? What's in the attic? Subconsciously, right? What are we not dealing with? What are we kind of keeping ourselves from processing or working on? Saturn trine Mars in these signs says that we need to be in touch with our emotional health, especially at an 18. We need to be in touch also with, you know, are we reacting too strongly? Are we reflecting on some of our past reactions or conflicts? Is there a need to kind of like wave the white flag and smooth it over and have peace and forgive? Maybe, you know, this can be a really great healing day. So if you're wanting to do like spa, sauna, you know, soaking, taking baths, things like that, it would be very beneficial to do it this day. Now, the moon's going to keep moving through Cancer. You're not going to see too much else going on. Certainly Mercury and the sun are moving side by side. They're very close to each other, 18, 19, 20 degrees, but you're not going to see the cazimi happen until the 9th. Now we wake up on Sunday the 9th, and this is where I'm telling you guys, you got to be careful with some of these aspects. So first thing in the morning on Sunday is the Mercury cazimi. And this is Mercury in conjunction to the sun. Personally, I think this is going to pack a little bit more of a punch now that the South Node is in Virgo. So we are dismantling, undoing, removing this need to be perfect. We are learning to be kinder to ourselves, not so critical. We're letting go of old patterns. We're letting go of bad habits. We are also releasing jobs. That's all South Node in Virgo. And with the Sun Mercury conjunction, it's basically saying, you know what? Maybe it's time to get back out there, put my, you know, resume on the internet, see if I can find a new job. Maybe it's time for me to go out there and make some new friends and, you know, go and do some fitness or some hiking or something with a group of people and meeting new people. It can also mean that there is just this epiphany, this realization, or this download that kind of comes for you containing information to that is connected to the Aquarius area of your chart. So look at where that's happening, look for the breakthrough. Maybe something that was missing is found. Maybe it can be a time where you're more open or more optimistic, especially at 21, revolving around the future, what the future looks like. I have always found that these are days for me where I'm like, oh, I'm just receiving information, or I'm writing stuff down, or I'll start working on a course, or, you know, I'll have a really important conversation, or I'll find some kind of information that is just really insightful. So watch for that all day on Sunday. Here's the challenge. The challenge is that you're going to see the moon coming into conjunction with Mars. So people are either going to be really sexy, right? They're going to be really passionate. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for connection and chemistry and physical togetherness. Or we're going to see the other side of this, which is going to be more about emotional hostility, passive aggressiveness, getting angry, getting frustrated, overreacting, lashing out. And the moon and Mars are still in a square to Chiron. So this is where the past can come back to bite us in the ass, and we can find that we are rehashing or replaying some of the same trauma dramas that actually keep hurting us because we can't get out of the past. We can't let something go. We can't forgive something. The way out, okay? This is the way out. The way out is going to be when the moon passes Mars and it starts coming into a trine with Saturn. So the actual Moon-Mars conjunction is happening like early afternoon. So it's going to be around 11 a.m., around 12 noon Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's at an 18. So this can mean that there is emotional stress, heat, you know, anger that is impacting our digestive tract. It is creating lots of hot emotions, tears. It can be also about excess heat, inflammation, that kind of stuff. And, you know, Venus is, you know, kind of, it's going to be somehow directly connected to this because we saw the moon kind of square Venus first. So some of the conflicts were actually coming up as early as, you know, late the night before going into Sunday morning. So you have to kind of see what friction was kind of brewing. The other thing that you're going to want to think about also is that, you know, Mars is directly connected to Aries and it is the dispositor of Venus. So it's already saying there is a little bit of like conflict revolving around, well, what have I always done? Or what does my family want? Or what's going to be best for my living situation versus what I want, which is something new or some kind of freedom. So you're going to see people who are going to start kind of piping up and needing like a little bit more independence. Okay, the way out. The way out is the moon Mars trining Saturn. Saturn basically says, be patient, reflect, review, sleep on it, meditate on it, you know, dream. This can also be about clearing past karma. So it'd be a wonderful day to be like, I'm sitting down, writing a list of all of the things that I like, I'm so frustrated about, or where I felt blocked, or where I'm angry, or where I'm holding a grudge. And you literally find a way to be like, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to light it on fire and drop it into a pot of water or a bowl of water, because the water is going to neutralize the heat. And this can be about where we use anger, frustration, agitation, feeling blocked as the motivator for being like, that's it, I'm done. I'm cutting ties with this, or I'm not doing this anymore. I'm finally getting out of this cycle. I'm getting out of this pattern. I think that is the way out. So you guys are going to, want to work with water, stay hydrated, work with hot water, maybe sit in a tub, soak something so you're not getting caught into some of these squares, which can indicate we have a bit of a squabble with a home or a family partnership, and like we're left feeling wounded, basically. And it's patterns that we keep repeating, apparently. So that is going to be Sunday. You will see the moon continue on, and it'll keep moving. That Cazimi is going to be happening at the same time. Right when the Cazimi is happening, you see this conjunction and this trine at the same time. So that's kind of wild. And then the moon is going to keep moving. It'll sextile Uranus in the late PM hours, and that's the last aspect that it's going to make. Okay, so I would like to read the Cazimi for you guys, but I'll do that for the Cazimi video. So watch for that kind of coming up this week. I would like to show you where Jupiter going direct is taking place for the 12 rising signs. So I'll do that for you guys really quick. As a reminder, I'm a Western astrologer, so I practice Western astrology, not Vedic. Oops, there we go. And you guys are going to want to listen for your rising sign first, and this will be the whole sign predictions for each and every one of the 12 signs for Jupiter going direct. And my Geminis, especially any placements between, I would say, 10 and like 12 degrees, you're going to be feeling this the most. Jupiter will be going direct now through the rest of the degrees of Gemini. So if you're a later degree Gemini, you're going to be met with Jupiter sometime between now and June. And also my Sagittarius and my Pisces risings, your chart ruler is waking up. So this is good news for you. The mutables as well. So outside of that, Sagittarius and Pisces and Virgo, you will be feeling the Jupiter squares now that Jupiter is going to be waking up. So it will be affecting my mutable signs. All right, well, let's start with Aries and Aries rising. We're going to take a look at Jupiter going direct here for you this week. And it will be going direct in your third house, my Aries and Aries risings. So for you guys, this is all about expansion in your immediate environment, communication, and learning. So I'm predicting increased activity in local travel. It could be writing, teaching, even short courses, maybe even planning a road trip, connections with your neighbors as well as your siblings. I really recommend for you guys, engage in networking. Make sure that you're able to complete projects before starting new ones. And really this is for effective communication. I think that that's going to be the key. You may find that this is also a time where you're more gung-ho about planning travel or some kind of educative, process. This can also be a time where you're seeing growth going on with social media, growth going on maybe with a website or with a blog. If that's something that you participate in. All right, we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. What's going on, Taurus? You're going to have Jupiter going direct in Gemini in your second house, which deals with money. So this is good news for your finances, Taurus. This can definitely be a time when you're going to start seeing some kind of growth in that department. Also, your resources, your spending power, and your self-esteem. I do think Jupiter going direct means that there can be financial growth and also a broader perspective on your personal values. I'm predicting for you guys potential financial gains, perhaps from diverse sources or through communication skills. As you know, Jupiter is connected to your 8th house of other people's money. Okay, and it's also connected to your 11th house of goals. So your goals when it comes to your resources and your money that you have invested or with another partner or, maybe some kind of support you're receiving is definitely going to be growing. But I do recommend reviewing your financial strategies during this transit, invest in education or communication tools, but be aware of over-optimism leading to poor financial decisions if you are counting your chickens before they hatch, okay? All right, good luck, Taurus. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. You will be experiencing Jupiter turning direct in your sign. I think this is a good thing for you guys, especially those of you guys who have been wanting more travel, more freedom. If you have been feeling a little low, maybe you're wanting to get into a relationship, you want to meet someone, or you want to proceed forward with any plans in regards to commitment, marriages, or engagements. Now, this taking place in your first house obviously is going to be about you. So your first house is all about your personal growth and your personal self-expression. This is what's being highlighted. You might feel more outgoing or more curious now with Jupiter direct. I do predict that you could experience an increase in confidence, learning, and your communication abilities. And I really recommend embracing new activities or learning opportunities and be open to new social interactions. We just want to manage the enthusiasm so that way you're not scattering your energies too much. Because Jupiter is connected to your career and your relationships, I do think that a lot of you guys can be a little bit more optimistic and positive about the future of your career, the future of your relationships, and where you see these two areas of your life going. All right, we've got Cancer and Cancer rising. You will be experiencing Jupiter direct in the sign of Gemini in your natal 12th house. All right, for my Cancers, you know, this is interesting. This is like, I call this like the guardian angel transit, Jupiter in the 12th house, because it's like this is the cocoon or the shell that you are getting ready to break out of. So Jupiter being in the 12th house going direct, I do feel like this is going to give you the opportunity for inner growth, spiritual insights, and obviously dealing with your subconscious in a positive way. I do think that this is time for introspection and healing from past issues, or it can be a time about spiritual retreat, getting more rest and recuperation, learning more about the mind, body, spirit balance, especially as Jupiter deals with your 6th house of work and routine and habits, as well as your beliefs, education, and travel. So you might be making more time to travel, more time to go to school. Maybe this is a time where you're wrapping up things revolving around, you know, stuff you've been healing, or maybe you're planning on traveling to a foreign land. Very intuitive with Jupiter in this house. So I would really recommend practicing meditation or maybe even engaging in therapy. Be mindful of escapism and use this energy for genuine self-understanding. You got a lot of work to do in this area of your chart before Jupiter comes into your sign this next June, and you have like a brand new beginning. All right, we've got Leo and Leo rising. What's up, Leo? You're going to have Jupiter going direct in Gemini in your natal 11th house. I love this transit for you guys. I really feel like this can be a time where you're finally able to feel like you can connect and you can socialize more, or that you're communicating better with your friends or with your networks. You will see growth in social circles and also some kind of growth revolving around your goals. Now, I'm predicting for you guys new or renewed connections with like-minded individuals, involvement in groups or group causes, and I'm recommending that you engage with communities where you can share and learn. Just make sure you're not partying too hard or spreading yourself too thin. Now, Jupiter also deals with the 5th house of romance, creativity, self-expression, as well as the 8th house of joint income, resources, and other people. So if you have a creative business, you're taking it, you know, now and you're putting it out there and you're sharing it with your audience, trying to find ways to kind of like monetize or bring in more money for things that you were working on that's personal. And more opportunities also, I think, to connect socially and open the door for romance opportunities. So if you're hoping to meet someone, you want to start dating, you want to fall in love, go out there, socialize, be with your friends. It's going to improve the odds and the likelihood that you're going to be able to meet somebody that you really kind of connect with. All right, we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. What's going on, Virgo? Finally, Virgo catches a break. Jupiter's going direct in your 10th house, which deals with your career, your authority, and your kind of like your public image. So for Virgos and Virgo risings, this is actually really good for you guys when it comes to your career and your reputation. Obviously, you know, I'm predicting career advancement for you guys after 2 Saturn squares where maybe you felt like you got snaked or you were dealing with relationship challenges or client challenges. Now I think you're really going to start to see your career grow. I do think this could be through communication or networking, and recognition is definitely coming your way. I want you guys to aim high in your career, but keep your feet on the ground, okay? The reason why I say this is Jupiter rules your 4th house of home and family, as well as your 7th house of relationships. So in order for you to really be as successful as you want to be out in the world, you need good partnerships, you need support, even if that's business-wise or relationship. And there still needs to be the sense of keeping in mind what's best for you emotionally and on the home front. We've got Libra and Libra rising. You guys will experience Jupiter direct in Gemini in a fellow sister air sign. So if you're 10, 11, 12 degrees of Libra, sun, moon, or rising, you'll experience a trine, which is beneficial for you. Now, Jupiter going direct in the 9th house, great energy. Jupiter loves to be in this house. It's at home here. Obviously, Jupiter direct in your 9th means that now you can broaden your horizons through travel, education, or philosophy. So I'm predicting for my Libras, opportunities for long distance travel, higher education, and spiritual exploration. You can move forward now with degrees, getting diplomas, graduations, wedding ceremonies, long distance trips, publishing, and legal matters. Just tips that I would give you is pursue your quest for truth and meaning, but be mindful of anything that's too dogmatic. Travel should be educational or transformative. And Libra, you're probably really going to love these trines because it's also going to be making some pretty harmonious aspects to your 5th house. So creative projects that involve publishing, self-employment and travel, education and romance, all of these things are kind of playing really well with each other. Just as like a Libra rising, right around the time Jupiter is going direct, I'm planning like a trip that I'm going to be going on in March, so have fun with it. Even if it's just taking classes and something kind of connected to something creative, I think that you're going to be able to better learn and also have a much more positive outlook with Jupiter direct. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. What's up, Scorpio? Some financial stuff for Scorpio. We've got Jupiter going direct in Gemini for you. This is going to be taking place in the 8th house, a house that you're familiar with, Scorpio. So this will probably be good. I mean, Jupiter direct in the 8th. The 8th house can be a heavy house. This is psychological. It's about transformation. It's about endings, death, and new beginnings. But this can be a time where I feel like Jupiter now is shining a light on some of the positive sides of this stuff. It's giving you the opportunity to really focus on transformation, your shared resources, and any deep psychological understanding. This can improve intimacy, financial situations, especially joint resources and things you've invested in. I do predict that this is probably going to be a transit that's bringing about themes revolving around shared finances, inheritances, intimate relationships, possibly some dealings with insurance or dealings with taxes, tax-related things. And I'm recommending that some of you guys might want to consider exploring therapy, deep psychological work now between now and June. Be cautious of joint finances. Ensure that there's transparency. Now, Jupiter has a strong association with your resources. So with Jupiter in the 8th, it's about having access to joint finances, banking, loans, money. But it can also mean paying stuff off, like not just trying to qualify for loans or credit, paying things off, coming up with a budget, saving or investing. Possibly it could mean that you have some kind of support coming from another person. And Jupiter's connection to the 5th does deal with romance. It deals with dating, creativity, and children. So this can be like if you have a creative business, if you're self-employed, tax time, right? It's like, okay, how much am I having to spend? And like trying to kind of go through that. Simultaneously, insurance matters connecting to children or financial matters connecting to children or even support matters can be coming up with this transit. Good for intimacy. I would just say watch some of the financial stuff, Scorpio. All right, we got Sag and Sag rising. I bet you're stoked. Your chart ruler Sag is going direct in the 7th house of relationships, marriage, and partnerships. Your marketplace, what you offer, what you give people, how you connect with others. So some Sag risings, I think, are going to feel a lot more optimistic and open when it comes to relationships. If you're currently partnered, you might see a turn of events that's really positive in your relationships. If you're looking for somebody, it can increase the odds and the likelihood of you being able to meet somebody or kind of growing stronger in terms of commitment with a partnership. Now, obviously, this is also going to be personal and professional, okay? Gemini can be with siblings. It can also be with neighbors, so there can be some people that can kind of pop up here. I'm just predicting for you guys new alliances or deepening of existing ones, basically. Legal matters can see positive resolutions, and I'm recommending that you work on communication in relationships and be open to negotiations that could lead to like a win-win situation. I do feel like this is going to get a lot better for my Saggies, especially with like Mercury coming into a trine with Jupiter this week. Lots of good communication you can have with a neighbor or with a sibling or with a partner about traveling, learning, signing contracts, documents, even with clients. I think you guys are really going to like this. And I'm predicting that a lot of you guys are going to see a pretty significant shift with relationships this year, as we're going to see Uranus going into your 7th house. So some of you guys might be suddenly getting married, eloping. You could suddenly meet somebody that changes everything for you. There could be sudden shakeups in relationships, but I think you're very optimistic about some of the changes coming. All right, we've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. What's going on, Capricorn? All right, so you've got Jupiter that's going direct in Gemini in your natal 6th house. And obviously this transit has probably been riddled with some ups and downs, to be honest with you. That's how the 6th house is. This means with Jupiter going direct that there can be now growth and positive development when it comes to your health, your work, and your daily routines. You're looking for a job, you're more likely to get one now. You want to improve your health, you're more capable of doing that now. Some of you guys are juggling more than one job, or you've got kind of like a schedule that's a little colorful or flexible. I'm really kind of sensing that there's going to be opportunities for job advancement and health improvement through knowledge or through new methods. I'm recommending that you implement new health routines and work practices, and I want you guys to avoid overcommitting at work because balance is key. Now, you have seen personally where Jupiter square Saturn has been kind of like, affecting you, and maybe there's been some challenges in communicating with coworkers. Maybe there's been some challenges revolving around getting to and from work. Maybe there's been some issues in communication with siblings. I'm not sure, but there's definitely been some challenges here. And I feel like this is about trying to find that center balance, learning to communicate with people, letting them know your boundaries so that way you're not overworking, overdoing it, and negatively impacting your health. Now, Jupiter rules your 12th house of what's subconscious and hidden, as well as the 3rd house. So I think a lot of this has been about mind, body, spirit balance. And if you guys can find ways to stay active, and honestly, walking, hiking, or biking for Capricorn placements would be wonderful. A great way to break up your day so that way you're feeling like you're getting mobile. Maybe it's going to be about journaling and finding like how better communication methods can actually, support your physical and your mental health. I think you're going to see all of those things. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You will see Jupiter turn direct in Gemini in your natal 5th house and a fellow sister air sign. I think you're also going to be liking some of the trines that are going on with Jupiter this week. Obviously, Jupiter being in your 5th house is going to kind of magnify and kind of make your 5th house glittery, especially in the topics revolving around creativity, children, romance, self-expression, taking chances, anything in regards to self-employment. So having Jupiter wake up here is really about bringing you all of the things that you want to do. It's bringing you more opportunities for playtime. So I think that it's really saying that it's a time for creative projects to flourish, new romantic encounters. Children might bring new lessons and joy. This is all about diving into your artistic pursuits as well as your hobbies. And in romance, just keep communication open, but keep it playful as well, because I feel like that Jupiter in the 5th house is about keeping an open mind and talking to people and figuring out what you want. Jupiter's connected to your money, your personal possessions, and your resources, as well as your 11th house of goals, allies, and friends. So maybe you're spending more money on hobbies. Maybe you're spending more money on traveling with friends. You're focusing on having creative playtime with your children. You're spending a little bit more money on getting out there and having fun, or investing it in some way. Speculative stuff is the 5th house. You're more willing to take risks, and maybe you're investing in things relating to communication, education, or technology. That can certainly be a theme. But yeah, for this, I think it's like big risk, big reward, to be honest with you, and where you can find that there's new ways of being able to create and express yourself, and really you're focusing on joy. And then we've got our Pisces and Pisces rising. Obviously, this impacts you guys pretty significantly as Jupiter is your traditional ruler. And Jupiter is waking up in the 4th house in the sign of Gemini. Now for you guys, this is all about finding yourself very much more connected, or maybe growing or feeling more optimistic about what's going on in your family or your home environment. Been waiting to move? Now you might do so, right? Returning back home to visit family, you could do that. Maybe you're trying to sell a house and, you know, Jupiter goes direct, and then you're going to see that there's opportunities to be able to kind of bring in resources or riches from real estate. But Jupiter in the 4th house is about expanding your living space. This is also about a philosophical or cultural shift that's happening within the family, traveling or visiting foreign lands. Obviously you are Jupiter, but it also has a strong connection to your 10th house. So some of you guys are trying to set up your life in a way where you can live and work in the same space, or you're relocating for work, or you're moving and then you're trying to figure out how work kind of comes into play. More time with the family, more time potentially with one of your parents as well. And there can be positive things happening revolving around relationship with siblings, aunts, uncles, or cousins. I would just recommend, you know, consider making changes in your living situation that's going to support your growth, and be open to family discussions and new traditions, because Jupiter is wanting to kind of have you have an open mind when it comes to where you're living, what you're practicing, what you believe in, you know, how you want things to kind of flow at home. I know it's been challenging in recent months with squares to Saturn, and some Pisces risings have felt like they're not satisfied with their home life, with their living situation, or they have felt kind of alienated or alone. And now this is getting ready to break. So I think you have a lot to look forward to, especially as Jupiter is getting ready to go into your 5th house in this next year. I have seen for a lot of Pisces and Pisces rising with the Mars retrograde, it's like, I want to start dating again, you know, and I'm going to get out there and start meeting people. And so you're thinking about what kind of a life you want, and if you want commitment, if you don't, if you want children, if you don't. For some of you guys, you're moving because you're having children. For some of you guys, your kids are moving back in with you. That could be something else that could be happening. And for others, I think that there is just a way of being able to express yourself more so creatively at home. So your relationship to your home space is incredibly important at this time. I'm wishing you guys all lots of good things with Jupiter going direct. You'll have to let me know how it plays out for you throughout this week. Don't forget to leave me a comment below and let me know, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider sharing and subscribing. It really helps my channel grow. I appreciate you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, because I feel like it can be beautiful, you know, Saturday night into Sunday. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Don't forget also that we are going to be having a live this Friday. So we're going to be doing live astrology readings. You can catch me here at 6:00 p.m. Central Time. We'll put the link in the description, and we'll also put it in the community tab so you guys can sign up in advance if that's something that interests you. I hope to see all of you guys there. And until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Take care.